When people think about moving to North Dallas, they picture low prices, great quality of life, and more house for their money. But the problem is that's not always how it plays out. So if you are moving, how do you avoid going down what you think is the right path only to find out it's a dead end, or worse yet, it's a costly dead end? You know, working with an area expert could be your solution. And I work with people relocating from Dallas from all over the country. And many of them come in thinking they're going to get a great deal until they see what these popular areas actually cost. So in this video, guys, I'm breaking down 5 suburbs that might be a little overrated when it comes to cost versus value. And then I'm going to show you some nearby options where your money will stretch a whole lot further. Let's start with our number 1 suburb, Highland Park. You know, Highland Park is a place that gets a lot of attention for its elite schools, manicured streets, and country club lifestyle, but its cost may surprise you. Now, buyers are drawn to Highland Park who can afford it because this is really old money Dallas. Highland Park ISD is one of the highest rated in Texas, and the area is known for private security, luxury boutiques, and prestigious real estate. You know, as of April 2025, homes are selling for $3.3 million on average, and that's 7 times the Dallas metro average, and it's about a 26% year-on-year jump in price appreciation. So there's very little new construction down in Highland Park due to zoning restrictions. All the houses there is very close to downtown Dallas, and all the houses there were built a long time ago, and there's not much land left over. And if it is new, it's because a very old home was torn down to make room for the new. And a teardown lot can cost as much as $600, $700, $1 million or more. And demand is driven by scarcity in Highland Park, not expansion, which inflates the prices a little bit further. Now, the impact on these teardown lots goes even further because a $5 million custom build is usually, you know, an average of what is built on these teardown lots. And that has pushed our typical buyers even higher on their budget. And it's also caused that the teardown lots themselves get more and more expensive as the years go by. Highland Park's housing costs are 571% higher than the national average, according to Best Places, with property taxes and maintenance to match. And because home values are so high, property taxes follow. It's not uncommon, ready, hold your breath, to see an annual tax bill of $50, $80, and yes, even more than $100,000. So what are the trade-offs for these kind of prices and costs? Well, you're paying for a name, not convenience. And unless you need that zip code in Highland Park, you could probably get more space, a newer home, and the same quality of school in a lot of other places. Buyers I've worked with that wanted to look there were routinely shocked by how little $2 million can get them there. There are no budget-friendly pockets in Highland Park. Even smaller homes that need massive updates are taxed and priced in the luxury category. This is legacy wealth territory, not practical value. You know, and everybody understands it's important to weigh the value and the practical benefits of an area against the cost, and it has to be a balanced fit for you and your family. And having clarity and reliable information is critical to making informed decisions. So stick around, and we'll look at a couple of areas that you may not want to avoid at the end of this video. And speaking of having clarity and making informed decisions, I'm Phil Martin of the Living North of Dallas, Texas channel, and my team and I have been helping people relocate from around the country and from around the world for that matter for over a decade. Now, if you're just on the fuzzy front end of your planning or you need help now, I can help. Email, text, schedule Zoom, or just keep it simple, guys. Just call me. Number's right down here. I will always be your first conversation and personal guide to the introduction of this area. That brings us to number 2, Addison, Texas. You know, Addison is a place many buyers fall in love with at first glance, thanks to its vibrant dining scene and central location. You know, I should know, I absolutely fell in love with Addison back in 2003 when I was finally moving back to Texas from living in many other states for many years. I absolutely fell in love with Addison, so much so that I bought a condominium in Addison. And I can tell you now, rising prices are creating serious challenges in Addison. But what's great about that city is it's walkable to a certain extent. There are bars and dozens of restaurants, and Just there's frequent festivals, and it's easy access to downtown Dallas as well. The median sale price for housing in Addison is now about $619,000, up nearly 8% year on year. That's double the city of Dallas. Yet many homes are really 1970s ranches. A number of them need full renovation, and there's a whole lot of condos and even more townhomes that are coming up in Addison. Despite the price jump, homes are sitting longer, an average of, I believe, 68 days, signaling buyers are a little hesitant to buy in Addison and other places here as well. You know, teardowns and townhome infill projects are replacing older homes, with new builds pushing $800,000, $900,000, pricing younger or first-time buyers kind of out of the market. And townhomes have become very popular. I had a client looking at one. It was a 4-story townhome. It was beautiful. It was priced at $999,000, had a deck on the 4th floor overlooking the Addison airport. Absolutely beautiful, but oh my gosh, it was overpriced. And townhomes just don't have the appreciation potential like a single family home. You know, Addison really is energetic. It's a lot of fun, but schools are the Dallas ISD, making most consider private schooling, and most homes lack yard space or modern layouts. You know, for the same price, buyers could get more space and better schools elsewhere. As a matter of fact, after living there by myself for a couple of years, my daughter moved in with me. She was in high school. I brought her here from another state to go ahead and finish out, and she still lives here. But I immediately realized I cannot raise my daughter in a condominium in Addison, Texas. It just wasn't going to be appropriate. So we had to go to a different area, buy a different house. Ended up in Plano, for that matter. But hold that thought. I'm going to show you where to look for the same energy without overpaying at the end of this video. So I can tell you, Addison has great nightlife, no doubt, but it's not ideal for families or buyers seeking long-term equity. Most buyers I work with ultimately pivot after seeing what $600,000, $700,000 doesn't buy in Addison and going to a different place. Brings us to number 3. You are not going to believe it, but Frisco, Texas is actually on my list of places to avoid, but bear with me, guys. A big name in the metro area here, a big name in Texas, Frisco, especially for families looking for strong schools and modern master planned neighborhoods. But the reputation, and here's the caveat, comes with a price. Didn't used to be this way several years ago, but it is coming to its own. It's getting even more brilliant as a city, and so prices have gone up. Frisco ISD, the Cowboys headquarters, PGA of America, Universal Studios, the list goes on and on and on. You know, the Sports City USA. It's the suburb that went viral along with its prices. So not all homes fall within the Frisco ISD in Frisco either. Parts are zoned for Little Elm ISD or Prosper ISD, which can also affect pricing and resale value. Now, the median price in Frisco right now is about $723,000 as of April 2025, with many new builds exceeding $900,000, $1 million. I know where you could spend more than $10 million on a house in Frisco in a heartbeat. Yet, nearby Plano and Allen remain at $150,000 to $200,000 less expensive on the average or median house. You know, one client had to stretch from $700,000 to $850,000 just to win a bid near their preferred school in Frisco, and their monthly costs were far higher than expected. Now, did they go ahead and pull the trigger? They actually did, because they looked at it and said the trade-off, their anticipated appreciation and their budget, it was a stretch at that time, but they thought it was going to come right into alignment within 12 months. They went ahead and chose it. I have other buyers that look at that and say, you know what, based on the cost of housing, the cost of living, et cetera, I'm going to pivot and go to a different neighborhood. It just comes down to really making sure you investigate all the aspects of what adds up to cost of living, what adds up to lifestyle and quality of life. I mean, builders have begun dropping prices and offering a few incentives in oversupplied areas in Frisco, but for the most part, you'll pay more in Frisco. You know, it's ideal for high budget buyers, but for most families, you can get more bang for your buck within a 20 to 25 minute radius of all the fun things that you might want to do in Frisco without the price. I mean, still enjoying all the perks and not having paying the premium for the prestige of that Frisco zip code. But I must say, Frisco is a special place. I love Frisco. I've served buyers who had their hearts set on Frisco, and as you heard before, it was a stretch for their budget, but they did anyway. And I've served buyers that looked at Frisco, and it was a stretch for their budget, and they chose Allen. They chose Plano. They chose McKinney after looking at all of the details. And the key to their buying success was having expert guidance and clarity properly weigh the decision. So if you're looking for expert guidance and clarity to make your decision on, call me. In that initial phone call, we'll figure out if it would be helpful or appropriate to schedule the conversation, is what I call it. No cost, no obligation, but see what others are saying about their conversation.
You have been extremely insightful.
This has been really good.
At the end of all of this, has this been helpful going through this process?
Infinitely.
Thank you very much. And Phil,
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
And it was pretty helpful to have a better picture about which is where we are at the moment now and what we can expect. We're quite excited.
All right, we're moving on to number 4 place to avoid, and that would be Flower Mound. It's a visually appealing community. It has a lot of suburban charm, a large lot homes up to master plan communities, but the cost might catch you off guard. Many locations in Flower Mound do have access to Grapevine Lake, good schools. It's Louisville ISD. It's family friendly, has a great feel to it, and lots of trail systems, and just you have more of almost a country, definitely suburban feel to it. It's roughly 30-45 minutes to downtown Dallas from Flower Mound, with easy access to both Denton and Fort Worth. But when you look at it on the map, it looks like it's kind of be close in, but it's actually, you have to travel a bit more away from the city centers where all the exciting stuff goes on to get to Flower Mound. Some people like that, some people may not. But it's a mix of 1990s and 2000 homes and newer subdivisions. And down by the lakes, some really nice brand new enclaves that are gated, would knock your socks off. But in Flower Mound, what we find is luxury builders and investor flips of really mid-range homes are really narrowing the options under 600. And it's really pushing the prices a bit higher. But don't get me wrong, Flower Mound has charm. But unless lake access is your top priority, you'll likely find better schools or space somewhere else. You know, this is often a surprise suburb for clients. I recently had a client who was relocating from Kansas, and he absolutely Flower Mound, based on what he was looking at on the satellite pictures and all the internet pictures of homes. He loved what he was finding in his homes, and he was an upper end buyer, looking at some of the more luxury level homes in the smaller ungated enclaves in Flower Mound. But once he got here, and we began to really explore and define what his lifestyle and quality of life looked like as he came here, knowing he was going to be starting a family. And so things he would need in the future 5 to 8 years from this location became important. And once we looked at the drive time and how isolated it was relative to maybe living in a master plan community in Collin County, he completely, based on that new perspective, he completely changed what he believed about what he needed. Ended up buying a super nice home in a place called Star Trail in Prosper, Texas, right along the Dallas North Tollway on a super big lot. So at the end of the day, after getting those new perspectives and having a little experience and some guidance along the way, he got extreme clarity. And even though it took him a number of trips to come to that, he was absolutely positive that his investment was the best investment he could possibly have made. Now, guys, if you have comments, drop them in the comment box below. I'd love to hear them, and other people would too. Now, last on the list of the communities to avoid is University Park, often viewed as one of the most prestigious places to live in the Metroplex. But that prestige, like Highland Park, comes at a price that most buyers just don't expect. You know, as gorgeous streets, close to SMU, elite schools, iconic homes, it's a legacy area like Highland Park as well. Country clubs, art museums, boutique shopping, but little new development. The median sales price here is $2.3 million as of April 2025. Most new or updated homes list well above $3 million. Consisting of affluent professionals, legacy buyers, downsizers trading equity for location, wanting the prestige is what you find. Teardowns are turning 1950s homes into luxury builds. Even smaller lots are selling well in excess of $1 million. So housing costs here are 500% above Texas average, with rising property taxes and maintenance. Monthly costs, frankly, are staggering to the average buyer. You know, it's stunning, no doubt, but unless you have a $3 million budget and long-term plans, It's more about image than everyday value. And many clients dream of this area, but we all have at one point or another. I like to drive through there and dream myself, but then, realize it's a dream. It's really not practical. For most, right? But if you are in that category where $5 million to $10 million is your budget, call me. Guidance and clarity purchasing a home is something I've found that everyone is interested in. I'm working with a client now from overseas who initially thought this area was what he wanted to focus on. But after learning more, we're focused north to capture more value. So where you want to start may always change, but knowing more about the area before you pick your initial location, it always is a better outcome. So if you're priced out of Highland Park or University Park, but you want great value, good schools, low crime, and maybe being 15 to 25 minutes from you work, where you play, where you want to go and eat, maybe your faith-based activities, here's a few places where your dollars will absolutely stretch a whole lot further. And the first two are Plano, Texas and Allen, Texas. Now, Plano, Texas has a median price of about $580,000. Allen, its median price is about $550,000. But most of my clients that look in either Plano or Allen are really buying in the $600,000 to $800,000 range, because that is where you're going to find your upscale home without the price that you might find if you're buying someplace like a Highland Park or a University Park. Now, both towns absolutely have great schools, corporate headquarters, employment opportunities, lower crime. There are homes built mostly in the 1980s, 90s, and 2000s. There are new construction areas in both cities as well. But if you want to feel just that great upscale in general feel of suburbia without that multi-million-dollar price tag of being a little further south, these two towns of Plano and Allen are ideal for families or downsizers looking for a more relaxed feel, but just being an excellent place for lifestyle and quality of life. Now, if you like the nightlife of Addison, but just don't want to live there, but want to have quick access to it, well, Plano and Allen are maybe 20, actually, depending on where you live, could be anywhere from 10, 15 to 20 minutes from Addison. It's not that far away. But if you want to be much closer in, you may consider a Farmers Branch, a Carrollton, or a Richardson. Now, the problem with kind of trying to figure out which one of these cities might be right for you, and all those moving parts can be pretty stressful to try and think about. But a solution is to call an expert where you can get perspectives and insights and gain clarity on your way to making an informed decision. And if Frisco and Flower Mound feel out of reach because of budget, an alternative to those cities is you may want to go further west to Denton, the city of Denton, where the median home price is about $390,000. There are bigger lots. You have North Texas university vibe going on, strong economy, slower pace, slower prices, but it's longer drives if you want to come back over to the areas like Addison or Frisco or Plano and all the city destinations that they offer. Or another alternative that is in between Frisco and Denton are two cities, one called Little Elm and the other Oak Point. The median purchase price in both of these cities is $440,000. They both have lake access, that's Lake Louisville, lots of new construction, and easy access to Frisco and all it has to offer. You know, one of the biggest problems with relocating to a new area is there's so many moving parts to think about, and not knowing much about the area is usually the most concerning. You just don't know the questions you don't know to ask. And at least not enough to make a decision on a $500,000, $750,000, $1 million purchase and to make it with confidence. You know, I solved that problem by starting every relationship with the conversation. And you'll have that conversation with me personally, putting my experience and expertise to your distinct advantage. And we're going to have a deep dive discussion on will they support your lifestyle, your quality of life when it comes to education, school, shopping, commute times, entertainment, faith-based activities, everything else that you want to provide to your family with confidence over 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 years. And at the end of the conversation, people are amazed at their newfound confidence, that they're on the right track. And having this conversation makes the whole process a whole lot less stressful and a whole lot more fun. I mean, have you ever had an opinion of something that you had not studied yet? But then you dive in and start studying the subject and your perspective is broadened and how you feel about the topic really is different and it's more accurate. Well, that's what your experience with a conversation will be like. For example, Herman called me from Europe and wanted me to help him buy a specific home in a specific area that he had already researched. And after our conversation, he and his wife ended up buying a different home more than an hour away from the original location he wanted. And he saved tens of thousands of dollars and got exactly what they needed, not what they thought they needed before they had the conversation and had done the due diligence. You know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to live in Highland Park, to wanting to live in University Park or in Frisco or Flower Mound or any of the cities I've talked about. The point is, you just need to know what the real costs are and what the trade-offs are and what you may be able to get for the same price or a lower price in other areas. So if you're relocating to North Texas, the challenge is not just to buy a home. It's to purchase the ideal home for you and your family. And I can help you do that. It all starts with the conversation. So no matter if you're moving across town, out of state, or even from a different country, I can help. Text, email, schedule a Zoom call with me. But if you want to keep it simple, just call me. It's my phone number that's up there. It works on WhatsApp too. It's not a general mailbox. It's my phone number, and I would love to hear from you. And if you want to know more about moving and living in North Dallas, watch the next video in the series. Have a great day.